I had a nightmare. I had a nightmare that the Oklahoma Sooners, being a big favorite against BYU on Saturday night, were upset 14-13. Wait, are you serious? It happened? Yeah, it's no dream, okay? It really, really happened, but it seems like a nightmare. The Oklahoma Sooners lose to the Brigham Young Cougars Saturday night, 14-13, in a game, offensively at least, for Oklahoma, that was about as hard on these eyes to watch as anything I've ever seen. Now, I'm using a prop for this one. I know this isn't a flag, but it is yellow. We saw a lot of this on the field tonight. And we saw it mostly for Oklahoma because the offensive line could not stop getting penalties. From quarter one all the way to quarter four, it was illegal procedure, delay of game, holding, terrific plays at times, wiped out because of the yellow hanky. And Oklahoma played so undisciplined tonight. Very rare for a Bob Stoops team to play with that lack of execution. You know when things are bad when you have 3 penalties, count them, 3 penalties before the third offensive play of the game. That's what happened. No joke. Oklahoma, double digits in penalties. They played very out of control, and the execution on offense simply wasn't there. Now, I thought Sam Bradford, before his injury, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I thought he played admirably. I thought he played well. Oklahoma, of course, didn't throw the ball as much as BYU in the first half. They didn't have the ball for as long as BYU did in the first half. And remember, the Cougars, despite keeping the game close in that first half, they blew some opportunities as well. They really did. They muffed a punt, which led to Oklahoma's only touchdown in the game, which was a 35-yard drive. So even Oklahoma's only offensive drive for a TD was short, only 35 yards. BYU also had an opportunity to score another touchdown when they got close to the goal line on a screenplay, but the ball was fumbled. OU recovered. Again, Oklahoma averted another threat. But Oklahoma, on the other hand, they had opportunities as well. Chance to go up 14-0 when they're up 7-0. Murray, he fumbles at the 5-yard line. Oklahoma, if they go up 14-0, I know what you're thinking of ifs and buts for candy, and that's every day be Christmas. I've heard that saying. I know what that saying's all about. But you go up 14-0, then all of a sudden this could be the beginning of something really good for Oklahoma, and maybe BYU feels like they can come back. Maybe being down 14-0, they might be thinking in the back of our heads, well, we're supposed to be behind. So maybe things aren't going to go the way they should. But BYU, give credit to them, despite not having as much talent as Oklahoma, despite not having as many fans at this game as Oklahoma did. And by the way, I salute the Oklahoma fans. About 65,000 of the 80,000 fans at this game were pro-Sooners. So again, give it up to Oklahoma for trying to make it as much of a home game as possible. Too bad they didn't have a lot to cheer about, okay? BYU hung in there. Probably the biggest example of this was when OU was up 10-7. Keenan Clayton picks off a Max Hall pass deep in BYU territory. Looks like Oklahoma's going to score, but BYU's defense was stingy. On 1st and goal, a few plays later from the 2, Oklahoma cannot punch it in. They have to settle for a field goal, and you've seen this happen so many times in sports. When a team has a chance to put the game away, they can't do it. They leave the door just a little bit open, and then Max Hall destroyed Oklahoma on that final possession, which we'll talk about in a second. Again, BYU, they pull off the shocker over Oklahoma. National championships for Oklahoma, gone. The Heisman Trophy for Sam Bradford, gone. And by the way, doesn't look like Bradford's going to play next week either, although we don't know how long he's approximately going to be out. If you didn't hear, injured his right shoulder pretty badly. 10 seconds right before halftime. So unfortunate, just makes you sick. But let's go ahead and go over the 4 keys to this game that we reviewed Tuesday on the Oklahoma BYU preview. Number 1, don't let Max Hall go into maximum overdrive. I was about ready to give Oklahoma a thumbs up in this department before that last drive, because even though Hall had his moments, he still threw interceptions, and Oklahoma still at times got to him. So Oklahoma's defense, I thought, did a real good job until that last drive when Hall went 9 of 10, including converting several third down conversions, and that included the 3rd and goal from the 6, in which Oklahoma on the corner, I don't know what he was thinking, because BYU, their everything tight end was wide open in the back of the end zone. 6 points, zippity-doo-dah. The extra point, BYU's at 14-13, and the Sooner defense, which had played so well all game long, they give up that long drive, and they gave up too many third down conversions. So I give OU a thumbs down in that department because Hall did go into maximum drive, that final drive. Then, number 2, all eyes on the OU O-line, as in the offensive line. Thumbs down, way down in this department because the penalties. They backed Oklahoma up. More than anything, though, they destroyed momentum and continuity, and they wiped out several positive plays, including at least a couple of DeMarco Murray nice runs. Holding. In fact, I have a prop for this one, okay? I know this isn't a flag, but it's the only thing I can find that's at short notice. See this? It's yellow. We saw way too much yellow. Way too much yellow throughout the ball game. Double digits in penalties for Oklahoma. Unacceptable. No wonder they only scored 13 in the game. Then, number 3. Save the best for first quarter start. I give Oklahoma a thumbs off in this situation. Not down, not up. They outscored BYU 7-0. They had the edge at the end of the first quarter. They got off to good starts, but it wasn't a great start. Remember, Oklahoma last year averaged 16 points per first quarter. Only 7 in this game, and they only gave up an average of 2 first quarter points per first quarter all of last season. So 16-2 is what they outscored the opposition last year in the first quarter. And again, that first quarter, even though they were up 7-0, they did not have control of the game at that point. And then finally, be aware of the mountain. Beware of the mountain, as in the Mountain West Conference. The easiest thumbs down I can give tonight. As a matter of fact, the biggest thumbs down I'll probably give the entire season. Oklahoma was not aware of the mountain because BYU, despite being outnumbered in fans, despite the fact that if these teams played 99 times, Oklahoma probably wins 98 of them. Despite that, BYU did not come in intimidated. They came in with a purpose, and they came out with a W. OU 4 years ago got beat by TCU in the opener after losing the national championship game to USC in January of 2005. Oklahoma lost the national championship game this year to Florida, and then a few months later, playing a Mountain West Conference team, despite being a 20-plus point favorite, just like they were against TCU 4 years ago in the opener, they lost. So they didn't learn their lesson. BYU is now 2-0 lifetime against OU in college football, and BYU stock shoots way, way up, and Oklahoma, they will drop noticeably in the polls. We'll see how Oklahoma responds. Of course, next week will be like a scrimmage. They're playing Idaho State, and we'll have a review of that game if you really feel like watching it. That'll be in a few days on the Oklahoma Weekly Matchup Show. And just a reminder, the Idaho State game will be on pay-per-view, and after watching the way Oklahoma played against BYU on this evening, I'm not sure if you could even pay me to watch Idaho State, the Bengals, play OU next week. It'll be ugly, but I don't think it could be any uglier than the exhibition of football we saw in Dallas tonight. Thanks for watching.